when I'm out there, it just feels like an escapism from the modern world, really. It used to be alcohol sort of helping me escape, but now it's the environment, now it's the outdoors, now it's nature. I had a fairly normal childhood growing up, I guess. One of my early passions sort of from on the start was cooking, really. My grandma got me into cooking, she sort of taught me up. And I suppose at that sort of age, a lot of kids are maybe watching sort of television shows or whatnot, or playing sort of certain games and here and there, but I'd more be sort of watching cooking shows on the television or reading cookbooks, for example, rather than the novels. Just always enjoyed finding new recipes, new ingredients, new cuisines, and how it sort of brought all the family together as well. I think I really enjoyed that. When I hit, I suppose, puberty, going to sort of teenage years, that's when I really started sort of experiencing different sort of emotions. You know, I completely felt very demotivated. I didn't really have any get up and go any longer. I was very self-critical. I found myself a job quite young in the hospitality industry, and then got a job behind the bar when I turned 18. And it was at this point really that I discovered alcohol, and things began to change further. So growing up with depression, it just sort of dominated my thoughts, really, you know, even to the point of even suicide thoughts and not wanting to be here any longer. And upon working in the pubs, I guess, and working behind the bar, when I discovered alcohol, it seemed to calm my mind down, it seemed to stop the thoughts. So by 19, I got a place in university, and I moved away to York. I found myself in a similar scenario again. I got a job back in a pub quite quickly, and really within sort of 3 months of moving away, what had become sort of an way to an escape, and what I saw as my medicine, if you like, quickly became my poison. By this point, even as young as 19, you know, I was regularly sort of going out drinking 20 pints a day, really. I'd taken up smoking at this point as well. You know, my studies sort of fell by the wayside a bit. University started noticing my attendance dropping. So in the end, I dropped out and started working full-time in the pub. All I was focused on was my next drink and where I was getting it from. So things really came to a point on the 6th of June 2016. My relationship with my girlfriend ended, alcohol being the catalyst for that. That was the point that I knew I'd become an alcoholic, that I had to remove alcohol from my life completely. I went back to work that next day. My boss noticed something up with me, and I just completely broke down there and then in front of him. And I knew I had to just remove myself from this situation. If I was going to become sober, get this out of my life, then I had to remove myself from that job. I left the city, I left my flat, I'd lost my girlfriend, and I just up and moved back to Cumbria overnight. I've been in this city 7 years. I didn't say goodbye to anybody. I just went. The support I received was fantastic, and it was actually a close friend of mine who called me up in that first week and just appeared on my doorstep, and he said, "We're going to go for a walk." And we drove down to Lancashire, and we pulled in Felcrow car park and began the hike up to the top of Lancashire. So I suppose those that know the lakes, it's quite a large one of the fells. I was blowing up my arse, really. You know, I wasn't used to this sort of thing at all. I struggled up. It was sort of one foot after the other, plodding up this fell. And before long, before I really realised that we sort of reached the summit, and there was no sort of congratulations, there was no well done. My friend just turned to me and said, "Helvellyn next." So a week later, it was the same again, and this time it was Helvellyn. So again, the third highest mountain in the Lake District. And again, I was still unfit, I was still going through the withdrawals at this point. My head was all over the place, sort of longing for my previous love. Gradually, sort of step by step, you know, we climbed this mountain, and I'm just looking at my feet, really. But it was really at the top that something really sparked in me. And this just sort of carried on from then on, really. You know, the week after that it was Scafell Pike. I continued to do other sort of Wainwright fells in the lakes. I went up to do Ben Nevis, Snowdon in Wales. I'd even taken up running by this point. You know, I couldn't run a bath, you know, before I started this. You know, I couldn't even go down the road to the shops. And one by one, it sort of continued on. I guess it was the sort of couch to 5k, then it was 10k, 15k, and before long, a friend of mine asked me if I wanted to sign up to do a marathon. And you know, 11 months on from this complete life change, this complete right turn, there we were, stood at the start for this marathon. I was still sober by this point. I'd not touched a cigarette at all. I'd lost 7 stone at this point, really, and just a complete pivotal moment in my life where it was just polar opposites. So I've now been sober over 4 years. I've not touched a drop. I've not smoked again, and I've continued this new lifestyle. And I've also taken my lifelong passion, I guess, of cooking into the hills now. About a year in, I decided to set up a little account. So again, I loved the food. I had this new love of the fells. So I came up with the name sort of Fell Foodie. That sort of seemed to fit quite well. It was at this point I bought a camping stove. I started to head up the fells more often. I started to start producing these almost restaurant-style meals that I like to do at home, out in the outdoors, out in the wilderness, just me, just nature. And up to the point where I got to 2 years sober, I decided to share the whole story, this time to strangers, completely in its rawest form. And again, the outpouring of support I got was tremendous. I shared it at first to help me, really, for me to sort of reveal it, to continue on sort of my journey, I guess, of almost redemption, it felt like at the start. If by sharing my story I can help just one person, then it makes it completely worthwhile and makes my struggles worth going through. I don't regret any of it, really. I think it's just been all part of my journey. I think without that I wouldn't sort of become the person I am now today. And really I feel as if I've become the person I wanted to be. I just feel glad that I stayed, in honesty. I feel glad that I carried on. I love being here and love sort of the new adventures I keep discovering and the people I keep discovering. So that's why I keep sharing, really. I think, you know, there is hope on the other side. I think there is a chance to change this. There is a chance to move forward and to beat sort of those ailments.